What's happening? Welcome back to No Cap with your boy DC. My fault for the delay, man. I ain't want to be on camera eating and everything just because ain't really no good look, man. And then it's just going to be quiet. There's going to be a whole bunch of all in the microphone, and it ain't really no need for that. So I want to finish up this little bit of pizza and be done with it. Interesting thing about doing a podcast by yourself is shit. It's all depending on you, man. But open my eyes a little bit. Let's get live. Today's gonna be starting to get into the more aggressive topics of the world. And of course I try not to rage bait or do any back and forth and the other attention grabbing tools that are used online. I don't want to do none of that. Just want to approach every conversation from a normal standpoint, because that's the whole purpose of the podcast, is show us it's cool to just do some normal shit and be a normal person, have normal ideas, normal opinions. Just be normal, nigga. All right? That's all this is about. But of course, story time. How you feel about domestic violence? Most people to reply is immediately just hell no. Whoever's the aggressor, jail time, man or woman. Whoever's perpetuating violence, domestic assault onto their spouse deserves to deal with consequences. What role does it play in our society, though? That's what I mean, or why I asked the question. Because I don't know if anybody else has paid attention to it. It's become a lot more prevalent now in recent years than it has before. A lot of people come back with, well, we don't really know how much of it was happening because we didn't have social media. But if you look at just the numbers from when social media blew up to now, domestic violence is going up at an alarming rate. So, me being the person I am, I'm gonna ask, why is that? Simple question, right? Like, why more people, for lack of better explanation, kicking their spouse's ass than before? And the answer to me, balance. Because a lot of these situations are similar. You got the old school domestic violence where, abusive man being abusive to his spouse. Some problems, some trauma in their life, and they taking it out on the closest person to them. Or reverse, with a woman in a relationship, power thing, trauma, taking it out on the closest person to them. Then you got a different style where it's substance abuse related, where alcoholic, get drunk, get to hitting people. Can't really hide that, but we're in an age where substance abuse is a lot more common than it's ever been, because there's a lot more substances to abuse. I'm gonna make sure I mute this phone though. I don't want to hear that buzzing too much. So substance abuse is increasing as a result. Domestic abuse is increasing. When you get past the substance abuse related ones, and then you get the situational ones where there was an argument, that the argument became heated, tempers flared, violence ensued. Again, because it's a situational one. These are people who, shoot, they not normally like this, but you get to a point where you done just had enough. Don't condone it, but understand it. This one is also starting to increase. So the old school category 1, where it's just unhealed trauma, that one stayed prevalent, but you got like 2 new categories on top of that are, or not new, but 2 increasing categories of domestic abuse. And then you get the newest category, or the one that, in my opinion, is probably the most rapidly expanding category of domestic abuse, which is ego-based, respect-based, pride-based. Relationships where they're out of balance. Somebody values themselves over their spouse, or they think they have more options than they actually have, or just not having the social skills or the manners to know how to treat somebody when you're in a relationship, and then disrespect ensues, where I don't care about you, so I'm going to treat you however. This one is increasing, and in the feminist world, it's increasing on the wrong side, where there's not, I won't say there's none, but there's not a large amount of men who are in relationships with women that they don't really care to be around. Because if that's the case, they just not going to be around them. Let me keep you around just so I can tell you how I can get more hoes than you. A man with hoes is trying to be around the hoes. But again, it's not everybody, not the entire population. But go to the other side, got a lot of women who they're getting a lot more attention than they're used to, or with social media, they're getting a lot of attention. So shoot, that like or these comments or these DMs, it's equating to genuine interest. So the man in my DMs who just want to fuck, who's talking to me nicely, is directly in competition with this man who is in the house already. So whether they know it or not, they're in competition with one another. And because I know about both of them and they in competition, I feel like I got options. So I'm not going to value either one because you're replaceable. Having options is okay. Disrespecting people or devaluing people is not okay. And a lot of this constantly changing, constantly evolving, overly disrespectful world, people are crossing that boundary where them having options or having, I guess, multiple choices is leading to this treatment of others. And your value of yourself is starting to externalize, and it's imposing on other people's quality of life. And as a result, more domestic violence. I mean, we could talk down the why, the who, what, the when, the context of it, but in a nutshell, people who don't value other people tend to find themselves in more domestically frictious relationships. I'm not even sure if that's a word. Is it frictious? Frictious? I'm going to say frictious situations. From a man, I don't value you. I'm going to abuse you because I have the confidence to. From a woman, I don't value you. Same way, other way around. But you also got to remember, domestic violence is a sign of your human instinct. Socially, we acknowledge things is not okay, and that's morally inept. But instinctively, Shoot, their reaction is your reaction for a reason. When you talk about something being morally, you kicked it up. When we talk about something being morally wrong or not, that's a social conversation. We talk about behavior, that's a psychological and instinctive conversation where you felt disrespected, you lashed out. Because men are more privy to violence than women are. But I started talking about domestic violence not because I participate or know anybody that's in a situation, but the same things that lend themselves toward the rise in domestic assault, domestic abuse, are the same things that lend themselves toward the actual topic of the day, which is the rise of micro relationships. Pardon me for a second. I don't know if there is a science behind this or not, but anytime I eat pizza or pasta or something with red sauce, I always drink grape juice. I don't know why, just craving. So, besides the fact though, but same things that affect the domestic abuse also play a role in the length and quality of relationships. Trauma. Remember, that was the first category of trauma. You dealing with other people's trauma, people dealing with your trauma can shorten a relationship real quick. Substance abuse can shorten a relationship real quick. Situational. Just this thing happened and I can't get over. Shorten your relationship. Ego, disrespect, feeling like you got options. That one, again, heavily impacting the length of relationships. I don't know what happened or what year it happened, but at some point, folks' attention spans got short as shit. Me, I'm gonna blame it on the TikTok and YouTube short and Facebook reel compilations in Uprise that's popped up. Because you training your brain to release dopamine every 10 seconds or 30 seconds. So you training to only focus on something for 10 or 30-second increments. That plays a role in the function of your brain in other facets of life. You can focus for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, then you got to get to the next thing. So it's not just going to stay with your entertainment. It's going to go into your professional life, your personal life. I can only focus on you for this amount of time, and I got to get to the next thing. I can only be invested for this long, and I got to get to the next thing. And the attention span is one thing. Then you get to, again, substance abuse. As adults, we got to a point where every adult hangout or activity had to include liquor, hookah, or weed. Every single adult activity has to include one of the three. For some reason, I don't know why, but mandatory. It's that's a red flag, bro. You got to have one of these in order to even find a reason to come together. And then because there's a lack of entertainment for children, they're mimicking what adults do. So y'all abuse substances, we're going to abuse substances. And they don't even have a fully developed brain yet. So they dealing with the social media, which is training them to only think that way with a mentally clouded mind. So they're becoming substance dependent while also not even fully developing their brain. And these people grow up to be adults. and have jobs and relationships and shit. So we got grown people who are grown. All of these things came into play, being affected heavily and changing their behavior. Now you got generations who, shit, this behavior is normal to them because that's all that's ever been around. Yikes. But then you get to the real issue with social media, which is the fallacy of options. You seeing more people than ever. You're interacting with more people than ever. But the style of interaction that you have is disingenuous. So you got all these different variables. All of them are lending themselves to shortened relationships and more frequent relationships. And the relationships are representative of what kind of life you live. And when I say micro, I mean like TikTok relationships where you need a dopamine hit every 10 seconds. That's how people are treating relationships where I'm fucking somebody new every 10 days. The excitement of something new, the honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase is supposed to last months and years for devoted couples. And it's been shrunk down to a month tops, between a day and a month, between complete strangers. Not getting to know each other genuinely, just the excitement of something new. And then the minute it isn't exciting anymore, I'm on to the next one. Man, got to be shitting me. Ain't no way. I've been in the streets, man. Watch how all of this is unfolding, how things are playing itself out. Society is legit shaping itself to represent social media instead of social media representing what's outside. Because ain't nobody putting the real shit on social media, like the hard work, the trials and tribulations, obstacles, the stress, the constant dance between accommodating, collaboration, the negotiation tactics changing constantly between relationships because that's what's mandatory in order to keep them coming or to keep them moving or keep growing and evolving. It's to the point where, folks, the minute you get into an argument with somebody, I bet, cool, I'm going to block you and move on to the next one. So your communication skills are biodegradable, bruh. Them things is rotten right now because you don't know how to communicate. You don't know how to disagree. You're not being forced to respect anything or anybody. You're not being forced to relinquish putting your ego or your pride first. And folks think because that doesn't personally affect them, there are no consequences. Bro, that should be the mantra for the feminist effect on the US. Freedom of choice does not equate to freedom of consequences. Again, I've said it multiple times, and I'll say it every time I can. The consequences for men are harsh, but immediate. You either gonna lose freedom or lose health. The consequences for women, slower, but more cruel. Because people are gonna invest in your slow downward decline And they're going to validate your delusion until there's the wall that you got to hit where you realize that it was delusion. You're going to be gaslit until your fire go out. Or the next consequence, because the two for men are heavy and then you got the two for women are heavy. Both sides deal with all of these things, but men deal with these more immediately and women deal with these more immediately. And the second one for women is the generational curses and the effect your consequences are going to have on your children. Folks don't understand how important it is to have both of your parents in the household with you in a functioning relationship. The shape of your life is going to be totally different from that situation to growing up with a single parent who's constantly dating. The best way to build an analogy to that is sport of basketball has been constantly growing. Players getting bigger, stronger, faster. Not smarter, but bigger, stronger, and faster. Imagine you got a kid who they get to train, they get to hoop. They're in all the AAU teams, always in all the camps, getting the best training possible. Whether they have talent or not, you're being put in the best position to succeed compared to a child who, shoot, you're not getting no camps, you're not getting invited to no AAU teams, you're not getting invited to even hoop for your high school team. You don't even have shoes that you can hoop in. Regardless of your talent or not, again, you're not even being put in the best position to win. Now, Matt, put both of them on the same path to go to the NBA. Which one you think is going to make it? I mean, there's a chance that this child can make it because the children from overseas, they don't have any of these opportunities, but somebody finds them at 16 or 17, says, hey, come play, and then they make it. But what's the chance of that? Compared to you in all the AAU teams, you in all the Adidas camps, Nike camps, Jordan camps, chance of you getting to the NBA is pretty high. It's the same thing with just success in life, where the parents aren't even putting you in the best position to succeed because you're not learning how to even develop the skills that will propel you in life. Micro relationships are on the exact other side of the spectrum of nuclear family. To have micro relationships, you have to have no value for the other side, see no importance in self-development, and really not give a fuck about the future of your children. One of the three, or all three. And I'm leaning heavily on the people with children because your consequences are not your consequences. Your consequences are going to be your children's reality. They going to grow up not having or not developing or not succeeding because you on bullshit. And for the people who don't have kids or aren't leaning to have kids, you just dulling the sensation. And you're getting farther and farther from the reality of what human interaction is supposed to be or what it looks like. Because the human brain is lazy. You're going to constantly start to rationalize these short-term relationships as being normal. So if you ever decide to change your mind, you don't have any experience with anything other than what you're dealing with. It's going to bite you in the ass. Or you want to continue this and then eventually you just age out. As people get older, they get tired of doing the same shit. What you were doing in your 20s, you still trying to do in your 60s. And by the time you in your 60s, why are you trying to do that shit? Folks trying to find somebody that can die with. And you still acting like you 22. Folk got to make a change, bro, because you don't. It's going to come back and bite you in the ass. You got to figure out what your long-term goals are, what you want from your life, and then you got to act accordingly, because micro relationships are, there's nothing positive about them. Once you get to a certain number, if you're just dating casually, here and now, the experience is the experience. But after a point, you get to so many where you're not receiving nothing from it. Just doing shit. And how do you fix it? That's the point I want to get to with having these conversations. We're not just talking about the shit and beating a dead horse, but how do you reverse that? Rule number one, bro, you got to get them kids off the phone. Because you get to a certain point where certain generations, they just done. There's nothing you can do for them. They are lost cause, fuck them. But get the kids off the phone. Put a heavy emphasis on the nuclear family and two-parent households. And if you have one, you got to put yourself out there and become more of a model. I know that's a double-edged sword, because the one thing about having a relationship and wanting to keep a healthy relationship is keeping that shit off social media, because social media eat your shit up quick and spit it out. Pause. But we need more models, need more examples, because they not as prevalent anymore. Need them, but where they at when you need them? How am I supposed to operate? You're going to get to a point where there's going to be an age group or generation who just does not know how to be in a relationship. So somebody got to tell them, I got to show them. And if all they known is my daddy's always had a new woman, has got a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women, they're going to normalize that. Or your mama's always got a new man, it's a different man every time, they're going to normalize that. We need examples. Once you get past the examples, bruh, keep it real. The delusion is real. If you put a photo out half naked and you get 1,500 people to like it, that's not 1,500 people who think that you're a good person and are interested in dating you. You half naked. More than likely, it's 1,500 people who are trying to fuck you than it is 1,500 trying to date you. Men and women. That like is expressing sexual attraction. It's not expressing any interest on you as a person. You're a commodity. Same thing with you with some money. You posting some money. That's all it is. Celebrities know that. How many attractive male rappers have you ever seen? But in whatever city they go to, how many rappers are celebrated as the finest thing women have ever seen? Because there's no delusion there. I have money, you want money, so you find me attractive. You want to fuck this money. Heard you want to fuck me, girl. Now you want to fuck this cash. Rich homie style. No delusion to it. So I'm not gonna assume that I have options because I see the quality of these options ain't what it look like. That's the realism that men deal with that women don't typically deal with. Is men can see a woman and be like, shit, man, she don't really give a fuck about me. Or men today can. Then you get to the point where if you want to get past micro relationships, what about you says that you're a long-term reality for somebody or you're a viable option long-term? I'm gonna go heavy on the men. Men, can you provide for yourself? Can you protect for yourself? Can you pick anything in the world, any topic in the world, and can you teach somebody about it? Are you coachable? Are you teachable? Do you lead with personality instead of resources? You got all of that? You get to go. You got none of that? You can go. Women, can you be supportive? Can you be nurturing? Are you teachable? Are you coachable? Is there a topic that you can speak on and teach somebody about? Are you willing to follow? You got that? You good to go. You don't got that? You can go. It's really as simple as that. We trying to recreate the wheel and shit ain't never been that difficult. The times may change, the people may change, but shit stay the same. And it's difficult because as a man, you want to say, do these things and be as good of a man as possible. But we're in a world where all of the things that make you a good man don't make you an attractive option. The things that make you an attractive option are these things that are outside of your manhood. Make this amount of money. Are you willing to validate my delusion or my opinion? Or are you willing to fit in to what I see socially as acceptable or celebrated? These are the things that make you a quote unquote viable option in the dating world. That's why a lot of men are pulling back from relationships. And the crazy thing about it is the more men pull back, the higher the rise in micro relationships. Because men are not going to stop wanting pussy. They're just going to stop wanting anything else attached to the woman. And that's the crazy thing about expecting a man to lead with money is that's some hoe shit. And hoes don't get paid to fuck. Hoes get paid to leave. He bought me a purse. He took me on vacation. That was the price tag. That was how much it cost for you to leave and never talk to me again. That purse. So you can take the folklore of this dick with you everywhere you go on your arm. Or that experience of us fucking up in the mountains in Colorado be imprinted in your mind. And now you got other men competing with this dick story, this dickcapade, this sexcapade you went on in Colorado. Now you're trying to compare this story with a new story you're trying to make. It's a bad look. But to give game at the end, because I know typically I would tie it in and then add it to the main conversation, but nah. The quickest solution to end these micro relationships is women showing interest, being supportive, being nurturing. You ain't even got to come off no pussy. Show you interested. What you got going on? What are your goals? Okay. How do you plan on getting there? Networking. How can I support you? Not do it for you, but these things that you're actively looking for that you can't do for yourself. And that'd be the problem. Women be like, I'm doing all of this, this, and this for him. I did all this. He was so ungrateful. If he wasn't trying to do it for himself, you can't do it for him. But somebody who's actively looking, like, damn, I just can't figure this out. You helping me solve a problem, helping me instead of doing it for me. Different. When women go back to being women, girls can go back to being girls and stop trying to compete with boys and men. We'll be all right. Because it's rare that new age women and the new age feminism, they don't want to replicate the behaviors of good men and good boys. They want to replicate the worst shit that they've been through. Somebody did this to me, so I'm gonna do this to other people. If it was wrong to happen to you, it's gonna be wrong to happen to anybody else. Why don't you replicate the positive role models? Because they're there. Why do you want to copy the bullshit and reproduce that? And again, going back to the comparison with domestic violence, a lot of shit is instinctive. Regardless of who you are as a person, you're not going to get past the wiring of who you are. It's hard to be more savage than men. That's why men are expected to protect and provide, because the savagery is there. The testosterone, the masculinity lends itself to the savagery, the aggression, survival instinct. And that plays in relationships too, because when women get savage, you just stepping into masculine waters. When men get savage, just doing what feels normal. The brain can't comprehend that, so the behavior is normalized. Women that act masculine, it feels disjointed because it's not natural. And the people around you act differently because they acknowledge it is not natural. And to fix all of this shit, really go back to just being nurturing and showing support, because the game of the day is, until men know that you give a fuck, all they're going to do is want to fuck. The only way you improving my quality of life is helping me get this nut off. If that's all you doing, that's all I'm going to see you as. That's all I'm going to seek you for. You got to switch that shit up. You got to. Because at the end of the day, men were made to reproduce. There's a reason why we can have kids until we die. Fucking is just natural. So having as many kids is just natural. So having a bunch of baby mamas and having a bunch of kids, mom, it's morally wrong socially, but shit, biologically, there's a reason he's able to be so successful doing it. Shit work. But morally and biologically, they don't play by the same code. If you want different, you got to. You want different, you got to act different. You got to move different. When you move different, the world's gonna move differently around you. And it'd be the smallest changes you make in life that go a long way. Shit, getting off this site, getting on that site, not using this social media, using this one instead. Not going to this restaurant, going to that restaurant. Not eating fast food, going to sit down. Going to this grocery store instead of that grocery store. You'd be surprised how something little like that can change the entire outlook of your life. You got to move differently, man. Shit. By 8:46, man. I only ate maybe after pizza. My ass still hungry, but it's way too late for me to eat, man. So I gotta go get me a brownie or something. I'll let you tomorrow.
Yeah.